Israeli strike on Doha, Qatar declares state terrorism, stakes rise in Middle East mediation Doha. A sudden Israeli airstrike on Doha targeting Hamas political leaders has ignited global condemnation, shaken fragile ceasefire negotiations, and raised serious questions about sovereignty, diplomacy, and regional stability. At the center of the storm is Qatar, the Gulf state that has for years served as a mediator in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Its Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, described the attack as state terrorism and vowed that Qatar will not tolerate any breach of its sovereignty. What happened? On the 9th of September 2025, an Israeli strike hit a residential compound in Doha, killing several people, including Hamas political leaders and a Qatari security officer. Qatar's government and media called the building residential headquarters of Hamas's political bureau. Qatar alleges that the strike came during active ceasefire negotiations facilitated by the US, Egypt and others. Negotiators were reportedly preparing for response from Hamas when the strike happened. Doha claims it received no adequate warning prior to the attack, only being informed after the assault had begun. Qatar's response: Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani has condemned the attack as an infringement of sovereignty and territorial integrity, calling it state terrorism. Qatar has formed a legal team, led by Dr. Mohammed bin Saleh Al Khulaifi, to pursue legal action against those responsible. The Qatari cabinet declared it would not tolerate the violation and will employ all necessary measures to protect its security. Internationally, Qatar has sought solidarity through diplomatic channels. It has called for region-wide response, increased support from allies, and action from international bodies. Reactions from around the world. The reaction has been swift and overwhelmingly critical of Israel's actions. United Nations condemned the strike as a flagrant violation of Qatar's sovereignty and territorial integrity. European countries, EU, leaders from UK, France, Spain, and the EU called the attack unacceptable and urged restraint. They warned the conflict could spiral further. Gulf states and Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Turkey, Iran, Kuwait, Jordan, and others expressed solidarity with Qatar and condemned the strike. Many saw it as a dangerous escalation. Pakistan, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif called the strike unlawful and heinous, stressing violation of sovereignty. Why the timing matters. What makes this strike especially consequential is that it reportedly disrupted ongoing negotiations to free hostages and establish a ceasefire in Gaza. Qatar was mediating proposals and receiving responses from Hamas at the time the strike occurred. This has raised speculation that the strike may have been timed to preempt any positive movement in the negotiation process. The perception, at least in Doha, is that Israel was undermining these talks, perhaps intentionally. Whether that was the case or not, the effect has been to damage trust. Legal and diplomatic fallout. Qatar has announced it will launch legal actions. It has assembled a legal team to pursue accountability for what it calls a rogue act. There are signs of shifting alliances and greater unity among Arab, Muslim, and Gulf nations in response. The solidarity expressed indicates possible coordinated political or diplomatic measures. Calls are growing among international bodies to reaffirm the norms of sovereignty, diplomatic immunity, and respect for mediators in conflict. Many see this strike as a dangerous precedent. The idea that a state may be attacked on its own soil for serving as a mediator, without regard for international law. What this means for peace prospects. The attack throws a big wrench into diplomacy. It likely eroded trust between the parties. If Hamas or other groups conclude that negotiations are unsafe, their willingness to engage may drop. Qatar's role as mediator, already delicate, is now more fraught. Some of its partners may be more cautious in relying on Doha if its hosting of talks becomes a liability. The broader region faces risk of escalation. Neighbors who once held back may feel compelled to react. The message has ripple effects. What happens when other mediators or neutral states are targeted? Looking ahead, what's next? International legal proceedings. Qatar's legal team may try to bring the strike to bodies like the International Court of Justice, ICJ, or UN tribunals. Results will depend on evidence, international backing, and whether Israel faces serious consequences. Diplomatic isolation or pressure. We might see sanctions, diplomatic rebukes, or moves to formally censure Israel at the UN. Alternatively, coalitions in the Muslim Arab world may reassess their relations or treaties. Negotiation recalculation. Hamas, the US, Egypt, and Qatar will have to decide if negotiations can continue, and under what security guarantees. The threshold for trust has been raised. Possible regional responses. Gulf neighbors might coordinate politically, economically, or at least rhetorically. Air of solidarity is clear. What actual force that takes is yet to be seen. Bottom line. What this incident in Doha underscores is that diplomacy in the Israel-Hamas conflict is being stretched to its limits. When a mediator itself becomes a target, stability and norms of international law are endangered. For Qatar, the attack is not just an affront, it's a test of how much protection sovereignty, mediation, and international law still genuinely hold in the region. Whether the world responds decisively will shape not just Gaza's immediate future but the broader architecture of peace in the Middle East.